Hello everyone, I welcome you to my YouTube channel Professor Civil Mandal. Here I speak about civil engineering and you will find my various video lectures on various topics of civil engineering over here. So in the last part of this video we were discussing about the boundary layer theory in the previous part, where we read about the laminar and turbulent boundary layer. We learned about the boundary layer thicknesses, that is the displacement thickness, momentum thickness and energy thickness. Also we started the concept of drag and lift. Now we were pending with the numericals related to the concept of the drag and lift, and for that we need to be thorough with the concept of the von Karman momentum integral equation. And here actually our second part of the video related to boundary layer theory begins. So if you haven't watched the first part, I would request you to first visit the first part. The link is given in the description, and then proceed for this particular video lesson. So to employ the boundary layer concepts in real engineering designs, we need to approximate methods that would quickly lead to an answer even if the accuracy is somewhat less. Karman and Polhausen devised a simplified method by satisfying only the boundary conditions of the boundary layer flow, and rather than satisfying the Prandtl's differential equations for each and every particle within the boundary layer. And we shall discuss this method herein. And now there's a derivation of this one is given, but this derivation is collected from the internet and it is somewhat clumsy, and we also do not have the references for this particular equations. So what will I do? I'll be deriving this on pen and paper, so you also be ready with the pen and paper, and let us make sure that we derive it up in a proper and a comprehensive way, which is much more better and understandable. So to derive the von Karman momentum integral equation, we suppose have a freely flowing stream with a velocity u infinity is the free stream velocity. This is let u infinity is the free stream velocity, and ABCD, and before that there's a plate which is introduced in the path of this freely flowing fluid, and therefore this will be our generated boundary layer. Suppose Mn is our boundary layer, and what we are doing, we are considering a strip ABDC. Strip considered is ABDC. This is our strip which we have considered, and also the mass will be entering this way through side AB, exiting through side CD, and also a part of the fluid will also be entering through side AC, and nothing would be entering from the side BD. And this is our axis of reference X and Y, and this particular strip is of width dx, that is equal to the length of BD, and this strip which we have considered is at a distance of x from the leading edge. So let us consider this, considering control volume what ABDC, because we are considering this much only first, this strip only, that is ABDC, and rate of mass flow entering through side AB is MAB entry, suppose, is equal to integral of 0 to del, because del is our assumed boundary layer thickness, we are considering del as the boundary layer thickness since the last part of the video, and rho u dy is our mass flow rate for unit width. So that is what we considered. Similarly, rate of mass flow exiting through side CD, right? Just if you consider this particular strip A, B, D, C, it is quite like a trapezium. Inside AB you will see only a mass of the fluid that will be entering. Also inside CD you will also see some fluid that is exiting, and inside AC also there will be some amount of fluid that is entering. So mass flow rate exiting through CD will be mCD, and it is exit is equal to mass flow rate that is entering through MAB entry plus del MAB entry upon del x dx. It is because we are considering that suppose this is the amount that is small amount of fluid that is entering through AC. So you can say that MAC entry is equal to del MAB entry upon del x times dx. Rate of change of mass flow rate that is entering times the width of the strip is that is dx is our mass flow rate that is entering through side AC. So now you can also say that MAB entry plus MAC entry is equal to MCD exit, because law of conservation of mass should be valid and we cannot violate that thing. So therefore MAB entry is plus MAC entry will be equal to MCD exit. So now from this we can say that MAC entry is equal to MCD exit minus MAB entry, and MCD exit is equal to this and MAB entry is equal to this. So MAC entry is equal to del MAB entry upon del x times dx. So we know that MAB entry is integration of rho u dy, so we can write it as del upon del x times integral of 0 to delta rho u dy times dx. This is the mass flow entering through CD. Now from Newton's second law of motion, you can say that change in momentum is equal to the force applied. And so now the change in momentum will be m cd, this is exit, mcd exit times the velocity v minus m ab entry times the velocity v minus m ac entry times the velocity v is equal to the force applied will be the shear stress multiplied by the particular length dx. So what I will write, it is equal to tau naught dx, and it will be negative because shear stress acts in a direction opposite to it. So it will be minus tau naught dx. So if I take the minus sign on this side, so it will be somewhat like MAB. So just consider that MAB and MAC are the mass flow which are entering, plus MAC, and MCD is the mass flow that is exiting. I am not writing exit and entry as the subscript again and again, and it is equal to tau naught dx. So if it is equal to tau naught dx, so now what we can do is we will write that we will now put the value of mcd in this particular equation as mvcd, multiplied by the velocities. Now we will write mcd as the mvcd, as the velocities are, considering velocities different at all the sides, I can say that MVAB plus MVAC minus, it will be MVAB plus del upon del x MV AB dx, right? Because the value of value of MCD is somewhat like this, and we are replacing MCD, and now we are also considering that the velocities are different in AB, AC and CD. Considering that the velocities are different in AB, AC and CD. Now I'll say that MAC, we know that it is equal to del upon del x times integral of 0 to delta rho u dy times dx, and the velocity at the boundary surface AC is 0.99 times u infinity, and which is almost equal to u infinity, and thus we can write that suppose if we integrate, and we will get the value of delta, and on this equation will be in terms of delta, and we know that at delta, at the boundary surface, that is at this AC is at the boundary surface. So at the boundary surface AC is 0.99 u infinity, which is almost equal to u infinity. We can consider that it is almost equal to u infinity. And now then the equation this equation will be reduced into del upon del x times integration of 0 to delta rho u dy dx, and in place of this we will also multiply u infinity, because we are multiplying u infinity with it, dot dx minus del upon del x integral of 0 to delta rho u square dy dot dx, that is equal to tau naught dx, because on the other hand it will be just u only, and so it can be written as del upon del x integral of 0 to delta rho u capital U infinity minus rho u square multiplied by dy is equal to tau 0, because I am cancelling this dx from both the sides of the equation, and now del upon del x, taking again this rho u infinity as common and dividing the equation with rho u square, I will get, now I am taking first, I will take in rho u infinity common, del upon del x 0 to delta, taking rho u infinity common, it will be 1 minus small u upon capital U infinity, right? Because rho u will be common over here, it will easily come out of the bracket, and also if you take u infinity common, this one will be remaining 1, and we have to divide this factor by u infinity, and this one will be multiplied with dy, and it is equal to tau naught. Now I will divide this equation with rho u infinity square on both sides, and dividing the equation on both sides with dividing by rho u infinity square, we get it like this. And thus if we now solve this, these things will get cancelled, and this will be getting cancelled, and we will be remained with one small u and one u infinity, and also we have the similar term 1 minus u upon u infinity dy, and can we say that this is equal to theta? So we will replace it with del upon del theta upon del x is equal to tau naught rho u infinity square, and thus this is our momentum integral equation. So that was all about the momentum integral equation, and guys, if you are not able to understand any step at any point, it's my request to you to pause the video and try to first understand that step, and always use pen and paper while doing any kind of derivation, and follow it according to me as I was doing. And also, even if you are having any doubt, you can still further post in the comment section. The comment section is always open for you. Next is the boundary layer separation, and it has been observed that the flow is reversed at the vicinity of the wall under certain conditions. So it is seen that under certain condition, suppose a flow which was supposed to have happened like this gets reversed somewhat like this, and this is not quite desirable for our any kind of flow. So the phenomenon is termed as separation of the boundary layer, and the separation takes place due to the excessive momentum loss near the wall in a boundary layer trying to move downstream against the increasing pressure, that is dp upon dx greater than 0, which is the adverse pressure gradient. So whenever there is an adverse pressure gradient like this, the separation takes place due to the excessive momentum loss near the wall in a boundary layer trying to move downstream against this particular increasing pressure gradient, which is also known as the adverse pressure gradient. So now this figure shows the flow past a cylinder. This is the flow past a cylinder, and you can see that the presence of this cylinder is creating some boundary layer over here. But whenever this flow is coming on this direction, there is an adverse increase in the pressure due to the body or the shape of the body, you can say, and for that we will see a boundary layer separation, or you can see that the boundary layer or the velocity gradient is formed in a reverse direction, and thus this will lead to the boundary layer separation. So now the flows past a circular cylinder in an infinite medium up to theta equal to 90 degree. The flow area is like a constricted passage, and the flow behavior is like that of a nozzle. Beyond theta equal to 90 degree, the flow area is diverged. Therefore, the flow behavior is much similar to a diffuser. So if you somewhere read about the flow through nozzle and a diffuser, you will come to know that in a nozzle the flow is quite uniform like this, but in a diffuser the flow is not proper and uniform, and thus this kind of boundary layer separation or reverse flow will be seen there. So this dictates the inviscid pressure distribution on the cylinder, which is shown by the firm line in the figure. So you can see the inviscid pressure distribution is shown by this line over here. So P omega is the pressure in the free stream, U omega is the velocity in the free stream, and rho is the local pressure on the cylinder. Next is consider the forces in the flow field in the inviscid region, that is until theta equal to 90 degree, the pressure force and the force due to the streamwise acceleration, that is the inertia force, are acting in the same direction, and thus the pressure gradient being negative or favorable. But beyond theta equal to 90 degree, the pressure gradient is positive or adverse. Due to the adverse pressure gradient in the pressure force and the force due to the acceleration will be opposing each other in the viscid zone of this part. So you can say that whenever the fluid was in this part, it was like the pressure was negative until here the pressure was negative, and thus it was showing a normal flow. But whenever there is a increased pressure due to this adverse gradient, and therefore the flow tries to occur in the reverse direction, because we know the flow occurs in a direction where the pressure is decreasing. So it will therefore have a flow in the reverse direction, and therefore we will experience the boundary layer separation over there. So long as no viscous effect is considered, the situation does not cause any sensation in this viscid region near the solid boundary. Up to theta equal to 90 degree, the viscous force opposes the combined pressure forces and the force due to acceleration. So up to theta equal to 90 degree, the viscous force will also oppose the combined force and the force due to acceleration, and fluid particles overcomes this viscous resistance due to continuous conversion of pressure force into kinetic energy, because up to theta equal to 90 degree, the pressure force will be continuously converting into kinetic energy, and therefore the viscous force opposing the combined pressure force will thus be neglected by this change in pressure force to kinetic energy. But beyond theta equal to 90 degree, when within the viscous zone, the flow structure becomes different. It is seen that the force due to the acceleration is opposed by both the viscous force and the pressure force. So therefore again you will say that the flow will occur in the reverse direction, and depending upon the magnitude of adverse pressure gradient, somewhere around theta equal to 90 degree, the fluid particles in the boundary layer are separated from the wall and driven in the upstream direction. However, the far field external stream pushes back these separated layers together with it and develops a broad pulsating wake behind the cylinder. The mathematical expression of the flow separation, the point of separation, may be defined as the limit between forward and reverse flow in the layer very close to the wall, that is at the point of separation. So what is the point of separation? It is the mathematical explanation of the flow separation, and it is the point of separation where the limit between forward and reverse flow in the layer is very close to the wall, that is du upon dy at y equal to 0 is equal to 0. This means that the shear stress at the wall tau w equal to 0, but at this point the adverse pressure continues to exist, and at the downstream of this point the flow acts in a reverse direction, resulting in the backflow which I was talking about. We can also explain flow separation using the argument about the second derivative of the velocity u at the wall from the dimensional form of the momentum at the wall, where u equal to v equal to 0. We can write this as this much. And now consider the situation due to a favorable pressure where pressure gradient is negative. We have this one as well negative, and as we proceed towards the free stream, the velocity u approaches u infinity asymptotically, so du upon dy decreases at a continuous lesser rate in the y direction. This means del square u upon del y square remains 0, then 0 near the edge of the boundary layer. The curvature of a velocity profile del square u upon del y square is always negative, as shown in the figure below, in the figure A. Considering the case of the adverse gradient, that is dp upon del x, del p upon del x greater than 0, and at the boundary the curvature of the profile must be positive, that is del p upon del x is greater than 0. Near the interface of the boundary layer and free stream, the previous argument regarding del u upon del y and del square upon del y square still holds good, and the curvature is negative. Thus we observe that for an adverse pressure gradient there must exist a point for which del square u upon del y square is equal to 0, and this point is known as the point of inflection of the velocity profile in the boundary layer, as shown in the figure B. This is our figure B. Just note it down. However, point of separation means del u upon del y equal to 0 at the wall and del square u upon del y square greater than 0 at the wall, since the separation can only occur due to the adverse pressure gradient. But we have already seen that at the edge of the boundary layer, that is that del square u upon del y square is less than 0. It is therefore clear that if there is a point of separation, there must exist a point of inflection in the velocity profile. So just to summarize all this thing, you can say that figure A shows favorable pressure gradients where dp upon dx is less than 0. This is a favorable pressure gradient, that is the pressure gradient should be negative, and thus we have flow like this, which is quite normal. This is del u upon del y and this is del square u upon del y square, and these graphs are made with respect to y, and this one is our normal velocity profile. Now for adverse condition where del P upon del X is greater than 0, our velocity profile will be somewhat like this, and we will have an inflection in both the curves for del U upon del Y and del square U upon del Y square. Therefore, the drag force brought about by the pressure difference is known as the form drag, whereas the shear stress at the wall gives rise to the screen friction drag. Generally, these two drag forces together are responsible for resultant drag on a body. So we read about drag force and lift forces, but also if you want to know that what the drag force is constituted of, the drag force is constituted of the form drag and the screen friction drag, and their definitions are quite given over here. So let's just now do some problems related to this part of the boundary layer theory chapter. So here's the question. Calculate the friction drag on a plate 0.15 meter wide and 0.45 meter long, placed longitudinally in a stream of oil flowing with a free stream velocity 6 meter per second. Also find the thickness of the boundary layer and shear stress at the trailing edge. Specific gravity of oil is 0.9.25 and kinematic viscosity is 0.9 times 10 to the power minus 4 meter square per second. So first let us calculate the Reynolds number, that is Re equal to 6 times 0.45 V times the length upon the nu, that is 0.9 into 10 to the power minus 4 and that is equal to 3 times 10 to the power minus 4. We are not considering rho here because mu upon rho is equal to the kinematic viscosity. So this is the value of our Reynolds number, that is 3 times 10 to the power, it is 10 to the power 4. So now hence the boundary layer is laminar, and thus the CD, that is the coefficient of drag, is given by 1.328 upon root of Re. Just keep it in mind for laminar flow. For laminar, CD can also be obtained by using this formula, that is 1.328 upon square root of Re. So it is equal to, therefore CD is equal to 1.328 upon square root of Re is square root of 3 times 10 to the power 4, and thus CD is equal to 7.667 times 10 to the power minus 3. So this is our coefficient of drags. So therefore FD is equal to the drag force is equal to, drag force in general we know it is area times CD times rho capital U square upon 2. So now for both the sides of the plates, for both side CD, it will be multiplied with 2 because we are considering both the side of the plate. So both the areas will be considered, and thus it is equal to 2 times CD times, let's write the values. 2 times CD is 7.66 times 10 to the power minus 3, and area is the length into breadth, and that is 0.15 times 0.45 times rho is given by, density is given by 0.925 times 1000 times capital U is given by 6 square upon 2. and thus we will get Fd is equal to, therefore Fd is equal to 1.7233, sorry, it is 17.233 newtons. This is the value of the drag force. So now we are also asked to find the thickness of the boundary layer. Thickness of the boundary layer will also be given by delta is equal to 5 times square root of L nu upon u infinity. So there's another new formula. So we came to know about two new formulas over here, one for the CD and another for the boundary layer thickness. The boundary layer thickness is also given by 5 times, for a plate, 5 times the square root of length times the kinematic viscosity upon the free stream velocity. So it is given by, therefore delta is given by 5 times square root of 0.45 times nu is 0.9 times 10 to the power minus 4 and divided by u infinity is 6. Therefore the boundary layer thickness is given by del equal to 13 millimeter. On solving this we will get del equal to 13 millimeter. Also the tau naught we are asked to find out. Tau naught will be given by this equation, 0.664 times rho u infinity square upon 2 square Re. So this is another equation. So just remember these three equations, three formulas, and this will be very useful for any numerical questions. And these three are also, one more thing, you just note it down that this is not in the theory, so just note it down in a separate paper where you write the formula, and this will be very important for solving any kind of numericals. And tau naught will thus be given by 0.664 times 0.664 times density is 0.925 times 1000 times 6 square upon 2 times square root of Re is given as 3 times 10 to the power 4, and thus on solving this, tau naught will be equal to 63.83 Newton per meter square. In the next question, the velocity distribution in the boundary layer of a flat plate is u upon u infinity equal to sin pi y upon 2 delta. So this is our velocity distribution given in for the boundary layer of a flat plate. Use momentum integral equation to develop an expression for boundary layer thickness in terms of Reynolds number. So given is u upon u infinity equal to sin pi y upon 2 delta. So momentum integral equation says that momentum integral equation is del theta upon del x is equal to tau naught upon dx, tau naught upon rho u infinity square. So this is our momentum integral equation. So it's clear that first we have to differentiate the momentum thickness of this particular velocity distribution, and then only we will equate it to the velocity distribution in terms of y as we get in the shear stress equation. So now let's do this. So u upon u infinity is given this, so therefore theta or the momentum thickness will be given by 0 to delta u upon u infinity times 1 minus u upon u infinity. So in place of just capital U, I am writing capital U infinity as the equation, or the question is given like this. So it's just same, that is u small u upon capital U, which we have learnt in the theory part, or the small u upon capital U infinity is the same thing. So no need to worry about that, times dy. So let's put the value of u upon u infinity. Theta is equal to integral of 0 to delta sine pi by 2 y upon delta times 1 minus sine pi by 2 y upon delta dy, and this is our momentum thickness. And thus let's solve this one. Upon integration theta will be equal to minus cos pi y upon 2 delta, because sine's integration is minus cos theta, sine's integration is minus cos theta, and upon pi upon 2 delta, and it is 0 to delta minus of half 0 to delta 1 minus cos 2 pi y upon 2 delta times dy. So on solving this, we will get theta equal to 2 by pi minus 1 by 2 delta. So this will be our value of theta on solving this. So therefore d theta by dx, or you can write del theta by del x, is equal to 2 by pi minus 1 by 2 del, or you can d delta by dx. This is d delta by dx. So just we are dividing the equation with dx, and now tau naught will be equal to mu del u upon del y. This is our shear stress equation at y equal to 0, of course, and it can be written as tau naught is equal to mu times it will be pi u infinity upon pi u infinity 2 delta times cos pi by 2 y by delta. It will just happen if I differentiate this equation with respect to y. The constant will be coming outside, and that is the same will be happening. So mu times pi u infinity upon 2 delta cos pi by 2 times y upon delta, and it will be at y equal to 0, and thus tau naught is equal to mu times pi by 2 u infinity upon delta. So let us say that this is our equation 1 and this is our equation 2, So from equation 2, that is our momentum integral equation, tau naught del theta by del x is equal to tau naught upon rho u square. So I will write del theta by del x as 2 by pi minus 1 by 2 del delta by del x is equal to tau naught is this mu pi by 2 u infinity upon delta divided by the rho u infinity square. So upon simplifying this, we will get del d delta or del delta, whatever you want to write, is equal to 11.4976 mu dx upon rho u infinity. So on simplifying this, we will get this. So now again, if we integrate with respect to x, we will get del square upon 2 is equal to 11.4976 mu x upon rho mu infinity u infinity plus c1, and at x equal to 0, del equal to 0, c1 will also be equal to 0, so I will neglect c1. So therefore from this you can write delta is equal to 4.795 square root of small u x upon rho capital U infinity. And we all know that this is our Reynolds number, and thus we can write it like this, that is equal to 4.795, just multiplying root x here and here, it will be 4.795 x upon square root of RE. This is our value of delta. So in this question, comment whether the flow separation will occur or not, and we are given 3 velocity profiles. So now you know flow separation will occur if del u upon del y is less than 0, the flow separation will occur. If the same is greater than 0, the flow separation will not occur, and if it is equal to 0, we will say the flow separation is on the, or you can say it is just on the verge of flow is on just on the verge of being separated. So in the first part, u upon capital U infinity is equal to 3 by 2 times y upon delta minus half times y upon delta cube. So u is equal to capital U infinity times 3 by 2 y by delta minus half times y by delta cube, and let's differentiate it with respect to y. So we will get du upon dy equal to u infinity three by 2 times 1 upon delta minus half times, or it will be 3 by 2 times y square upon delta cube. So the same thing at y equal to 0 will be equal to, like this part will be equal to 0 and hence this term will be equal to 0, and thus del u upon del y at y equal to 0 will be equal to 3u infinity upon 2 delta. It is 3u infinity upon 2 delta. So you can say that del u upon del y at y equal to 0 is greater than 0. Therefore the flow is not separating. Similarly, for the second part, u is equal to u infinity times 2 times y by delta square minus y by delta cube. So if we just differentiate with respect to y, we will get del u upon del y, and at y equal to 0 it will be equal to u infinity 0 minus 0, and it is equal to 0. So since it is equal to 0, we can say that the flow is at verge of separation. Finally, in the third one we have u is equal to u infinity times minus 2 y upon delta minus y upon delta square, and differentiating it with respect to y, and at y equal to 0 del u upon del y at y equal to 0 we will get minus 2 u infinity upon delta. And now since it is less than 0, we will say that the flow will be separated. So that was all regarding the boundary layer theory. So please post any kinds of doubts in the comment section, and like and share my video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you.